Okay, I talked about DCA, Disneyland, and Universal Studios Hollywood. So you have multiple variations of lands and different design themes. I'd probably say Avengers Campus was a bit of a letdown. Cool seeing characters walking around, but it really seemed to lack that real nice cohesion to it. Guardians of the Galaxy is an amazing ride. Now compare that to like Super Nintendo World, where you walked in and you're in a video game. You know, the power bands help you do lots of things, but you're in a video game and there's kinetic energy everywhere. It's almost too busy. Now comparing something like Galaxy's Edge. Galaxy's Edge was by design to be a different area so you can create your own adventure. It's fine as long as you realize it's not Tatooine, it's not Jakku, it's not a known planet, which is fine. Compare that to Hogsmeade, which was designed to look just like it's part of the movie, which makes it incredibly impactful. Flipping that over on Disney, they have Cars Land, which looks just like you're walking into the first Cars movie. So multiple locations, all different variations of design. Some of them definitely feel a lot better than others. When we were done, I asked my wife, like, which one did you like the most? And she was like, Hogsmeade was amazing. The food there we ate at, we sit down at the Three Broomsticks. Ton of seating. I mean, Disneyland seems to be like, here's your restaurant. Cool, where am I going to sit at? You're going to grab your food and you're going to wait. Where Universal's like, got your food? I'm waiting for my food. Ample seating. So like Super Nintendo World, sorry. There it's just Mario Brothers, but the moment you walk in, like they block the signs. Once you walk in, it's this amazing place where you can travel and go up. Like, oh my god, this, I saw this set of stairs. I'm like, go these stairs. Where do they go? I go, they go up. And that's when we found, some more blocks to hit. We also got to see, that's where the telescope is, little binoculars where you can find another hidden key as well as see Pikmin. And it was just incredibly just kinetic and vibrant. And then, it became like wall-to-wall people. And I get it, it's the new land, occasionally do virtual queues for it. And it had this fantastic feel to it. Compare it with like, Simpsons Land, if you want to compare that to a Walt Disney area, felt very much like Dino-Rama, which is crusty, designed to look cheap, fine. The Illumination area, once you walk in and you start hearing the theme song from Despicable Me, and the building designs change just a little bit, and they also like a group meet and greet with some of the minions, I was like, yeah, I like this. It shifted just enough that it wasn't, it's a regular town, and also becomes the Minions area, which was fine. The two rides in there, motion simulator, again, Universal Studios, don't have a ton of space, so a lot of rides are motion simulators. But Sea Life Pets was an amazing ride. And then you look at something like Disney, where it's like, San Francisco, cool, what we got here? Well, it's a meet and greet, all right, and some shops. Some of the shops were selling spider bots, because robots. And I was like, okay, that's fine. Then you go to Cars Land, and Cars Land, if they would have designed Galaxy's Edge to be closer like Cars Land, where they picked, an area from one of the movies. I know in the past, we're like, we're going to do an area that's Tatooine. Well, no, that's specific to this. If Olga's Bar, or Olga's Cantina, was the Mos Eisley Cantina, or even if they got to do the original things they mentioned, where you actually would meet Olga, who's a Plutopian, that area would probably have a lot more going on for it right now. It's got like the two major rides. Okay, Smuggler's Run, fun. Rise Resistance, amazing ride. Breaks down a lot, but it's still a fun area. Harry Potter, Hogsmeade. Once you get past the sight line, and it's like, there's Hogwarts. What's one of your rides? You go through Hogwarts, and then you go through this incredible Kuka arm, through all these twists and turns, and there's some 3D effects, which they don't do glasses anymore, but you still get the feeling of depth. Here's all the giant animatronics, and it was a crazy, incredible ride. It's more like The Mummy. It feels kind of out of place in the lower lot, which is just like this random mishmash of, well, here's where the Jurassic World ride is, with dinosaur meet and greets. Here's the Transformers ride with Transformer meet and greets, and here's the Mummy ride. My ride was fun. We did Express Pass, so I got to go on like the next ride once I got into it. And it was surprisingly intense. Because I didn't know what to expect. You're like, oh, it's got some launches, twists and turns in the dark. When it was done, I was like, okay, that was fun. I almost grabbed like my wife's pass because she did want to go on. I'm like, I want to use your pass and scan on and go again. But we had reservations to eat at Toothsome, so we weren't able to finish everything we wanted to do there, but we got a lot of it done. And it's one of those things people are like, oh, you can do, Disney California Adventure in about a day. Yeah, probably pretty true. When we got there on a Saturday, about midday, we did Disneyland first, and then did some DCA, but it was night, so everything had a stupid, crazy line, but we got to see, Cars Land at night for Halloween, which was amazing. The next day was Oogie Boogie Bash, so, we did DCA in the morning, got to do a lot of things. Not everything, because by the time you finish the Avengers stuff, other places just had massive lines. And then we spent like an hour in the Radiator Springs Racer line, even though we spent $60 to bypass the majority of that line. And we had reservations for Blue Bayou that day. So we didn't get to spend the entire day at DCA. And there were a few things we didn't get to do because Incredicoaster was down the majority of the day. We didn't even touch Pixar Pier. But we got everything else done. So, and then on the Disneyland side, had Indiana Jones not been down the majority of the weekend, that was a ride I really wanted to do. And every time that it was open, the lightning lanes for it ended up being like 11:30 at night. The Genie Plus line, sorry. We did get to do all the stuff in Mickey's Toontown, which was nice. We got to do Cartoon Spin, which is the Roger Rabbit ride. We're a dark ride, but you actually can control the spin of your car, as well as their version of Runaway Railroad. Main difference is you have a much better queue than what you have for the one in Florida. Their Small World, I like the fact that it has just a slightly different feel to it. Getting on the boat outside feels weird because we've done, the one in Florida where you're inside a building. And seeing the representations of other Disney characters in their more specific locations was nice. And had these nice little things. You're like, oh, look, there's that. So it gave that a little bit more. You got to kind of look at more things and try to find out what's going on here, what's going on there. Other Galaxy's Edge is roughly the same. I've seen the overlays and they're just slightly different. Of course, since Disney World and Disneyland are two different parks, you need two different apps that function two different ways. That was kind of a pain, but small tweaks here and there. Their Haunted Mansion while we were there is Haunted Mansion Holiday, which was really cool. I did like their New Orleans Square area better. So at night when they do the fireworks over the castle, which was crazy, people started sitting down on the ground like 8 o'clock in the morning, 8 o'clock at night for a 9:30 show. And also with the way the fireworks drift, you can't go behind the castle, and you can't go another way because one direction is just leaving the park, one direction you go a whole different direction. But then if you're where the fireworks are and you're near where Fantasmic used to be, so you're in New Orleans Square area, they're doing water projections. So one night they actually did like live jazz, which was really cool. And they did some water projections. And the next night they actually did like a mishmash of some Night Before Christmas with some Haunted Mansion stuff, which was really cool to see, with some fireworks. I'm like, it's nice. And certain areas just you kind of go, their Fantasyland is nice. I kind of prefer the one at Magic Kingdom just because there's more space. Disneyland has this bizarre way of feeling more crowded than it is because there's a lot, you instead of having these really large walk areas, they're smaller because it's a smaller footprint. Universal Studios, you could probably do that in a day, if you're very strategic. We paid for the early entrance, but due to an issue with Lyft, our 40-minute drive ended up taking an hour and 40 minutes, and I was unaware that there were two different locations for Universal Studios. So we ended up at City Walk instead of the Frankenstein parking lot. So we had to go all the way through City Walk, which added a few minutes. And then by the time we got there, went to the bathroom, because like I said, I almost had a 2-hour drive. Got down there, got our bands. We got to do pretty much one mini game. And by that time too, Toadstool Cafe was booked out for the day. So by about 8:45, you couldn't get into Toadstools, and it opened officially at 9. So the mini games were fun. Beating Bowser Jr. was fun. It was definitely a workout. It's weird if you're trying to compare, like, what's more of a workout? Like, is it web slingers or is it fighting Bowser Jr.? Definitely fighting Bowser Jr. Because you're jumping up and down, you're ducking, you're flailing your arms all over the place. Crazy fun. You can do Universal Studios in a day. We did Express Pass, so we got to go on everything pretty much right off the bat. The longest line my family was in was a line for Starbucks. It took like 40 minutes. So my wife and daughter got in line for Starbucks. I was able to do the Transformers ride where one of the vehicles wasn't working, so they had reduced capacity, which I told everybody, which was nice. I got to do that and then go through Mummy, come off Mummy, and then wait 10 minutes for my wife and daughter to come out with some of their food from Starbucks. And there's just enough that you can do a lot of things. The studio tour, if you've done it once, you're fine. You probably skip it again. Really fun, not quite an hour. So had we not done that, we probably could have done, the Waterworld Sun Spectacular, which I've heard is amazing. We did do the Tri-Wizard Tournament Rally, which was neat. To prep for this, we did have my daughter watch the first 3 Harry Potter movies. We're going to Hogsmeade. There's certain things there, like here's a Sirius Black poster. Let's watch some of them so you understand what is going on. Why a chocolate frog is expensive, why you have to buy one, what it means to get a wand. Some of those things. And going through all the different stores. And, it was a fun trip. It was undeniably an exhausting trip. Primarily because I would put my girls to bed at like 8 o'clock at night there, which was 10 o'clock our time, and then I would go back to the park and try to do a few more things at Disneyland. So our Saturday out, mine began at 5 a.m. my time, and then ended 2 a.m. Saturday, 2 a.m. Sunday our time. So I pretty much did like, a 21-hour day, including travel from Chicago to California, from Long Beach Airport, beautiful airport, recommend it. Just don't fly out of gate number 4 if you're doing Southwest. That sucked. That was more because they didn't have the stands, and no one wants to pay attention to someone on an overhead speaker. And then going from there, checking into a hotel, and then walking like the little over a mile to get into the parks, and then scan everything, and then try to figure out how everything works once you're physically in the parks to try to start, getting all of your Genie Plus reservations and all that. As well as try to do lots of the other random odds and ends thing. They do fortune tellers. You get one free fortune a day, but it's part of a longer story. So if you want to get the whole story, you have to pay for more of it. You did for a few things. And of course, you also had some of the medallions. One of the ones that I went to really sucked because a credit card gives you 4 medallions. I'm like, okay, cool. One's Jack and Sally, one's Oogie Boogie, one's the Pirates of the Caribbean logo, and one's Captain Hook. Cool. Do the swipe. Jack and Sally. Nothing. That one's sold out. Okay. Pirate logo. Sold out. Captain Hook. Got one. Fine. Oogie Boogie. Cool. Captain Hook. No, it's out. So I spent $20 and got 3 Oogie Boogies and Captain Hook. It was kind of, I will say seeing the roaming characters was nice. My daughter got to meet Ahsoka Tano. I got to meet Boba Fett, as well as Vi Moradi and Chewbacca. I did get harassed by the Stormtroopers and Kylo Ren. Now, I probably should say that while I was in that area, I did modify a small L0, L4 to be shoulder mounted, and I did weather it, as well as I had my Chewbacca skin style 20-ounce bottle holder. So, some people thought I was pro-resistance when I met Darth Vader, and they're like, interesting skin to have for that bottle. It's like, yes, the Wookiee was asleep. Because I had my bounty hunter badges on, and all those sort of things. And it was, some of those were nice. The walk-around characters they do for Avengers Campus, again, nice. As I mentioned before, really horrible sightlines for their action stunt spectacular. But, we tried to do that as well as some of the larger meals, some of the more special meals like Blue Bayou Princess Breakfast. We tried to do all of that in like 4 days. We'll tell you like 3.5, because by the time you land and get checked into a hotel, you've got a couple hours on Saturday. And then, Sunday we tried to do DCA. And then Monday we had the larger breakfast in the morning, so you're not rope dropping. And then the issues with Lyft going out there to Universal Studios. We made the list, like, okay, so if you go out there again, it's like, we would probably want to plan a down day. Did we get everything done? No. Just like when we did Walt Disney World. We did it once with a 3-generation trip. We did it a second time over Christmas. And the over Christmas one was significantly easier because like, oh, well, we've already done lots of the big heavy hitter things. Now we get to do a few of the smaller things. Now if we want to do a scavenger hunt, we have time to do it. And it's a problem when you try to do Disney World, Disneyland. They're expensive. They're stupid expensive. To the point where I was looking at some things, it'd almost be cheaper to do like Disneyland Paris. The hardest part of that is getting a decent flight. Hotels cheaper, park tickets are cheaper. Food's probably better. So it's difficult because you want to try to just maximize as much time as possible. Unless you're going with a large group and you do an Airbnb or a Vrbo, and you can then save money that way. But then they're going to get you with parking prices and all that. So originally we were going to do Disneyland and DCA. Last year we were going to stay at the Pixar hotel. Well, that ended up going up like $100 additional a night, and I'm like, no. So then of course we ended up saying off property, which in Disneyland is incredibly easy to do. We stayed near the convention center. So the price for that trip before we started throwing in food and prices for Lyft was, so we had a Saturday night, Sunday night, Monday night, Tuesday night, so 4 nights, was not quite half of what it cost for us to do our 7 days, 6 days, our 6 days in Disney World near Christmas, where we actually didn't go to the parks every single day and stay in one of their nicer hotels. So these are expensive trips, and it's hard because you want to do as many things as possible, and there's so many things to do. You don't get to do them all. You get to do the majority of them. Like when we did Disney World, it's like okay, it's like certain parks are pretty easy. It's like Animal Kingdom. Oh, okay, I'm gonna go do the stuff in Avatar, and I don't want to do a water ride. I'll probably want to hit the safari. Dino Land, the dinosaur ride, fine. If I get to do it, fine. Expedition Everest, it's definitely a must do there, and it's really easy because like, okay, here's like the 5 things you're gonna do. But it's the 5 things everyone else is going to do. Epcot, similar thing. Hollywood Studios, everyone's doing the exact same thing. So it's either you pay to try to get a Genie Plus and you try to hopefully get a decent time on something, or you just stay in a long line. Magic Kingdom, there's enough things out there. There's some heavy hitters, but it's spread out enough that you can just bounce around the park and you're fine. Disneyland, not so much. There are things that are classic that have low capacity where it's just a long line. It's just awesome me all day long. Disney California Adventure, much smaller park. Everything's on Genie Plus, so either you get a good line time, or you stand in line for like 40 minutes for a ride that should not have a 45-minute to an hour long wait. Universal Studios Hollywood, it's the original, so again it's landlocked. One of the areas we went there on the studio tour, they did actually say we had to be quiet because we were filming a commercial, which is kind of cool. And that itself was really fun. It'll be interesting to see how much that one gets impacted once Epic Universe opens, because then all of a sudden that'll be the small Harry Potter land, that'll be the small Super Nintendo World, and Florida's gonna have the massive ones. It'll be interesting to see, if you get less people who are traveling to that one for there, when they can go to Florida and do significantly more in a much more densely populated area. But overall, fun trip. I have no idea what we're going to do next year. Maybe we'll take a break. Maybe we'll do a cruise. I got no plan. I got no idea.